So a lot of you guys have probably heard our take on group breaking, and a lot of you come back kind of with the same arguments, and I've been seeing a lot of the same arguments, okay? And a lot of the argument first starts with, well, group breaking is never gonna go away. Group breaking is a part of the hobby. First of all, no one here at Sports Card Radio, or really anywhere for that matter, has said group breaking is gonna go away permanently. What we've argued over here at Sports Card Radio is that group breaking for massive profit, group breaking for your livelihood, group breaking as a living is going to cease to exist. Just maybe even this year, let alone when Fanatics takes over, let alone when you get kind of a change of guard, so to speak, okay? And so I've heard a lot of people say, well, Josh Luber said on a podcast that, trading card group breakers are a backbone of the hobby. First of all, if you call yourself a quote, a lot of you guys call yourselves quote CEOs of your breaking business, or you call yourself the owner or whatever. I don't know too many CEOs that listen to podcasts and then make their business decisions based on that. Period. I don't care what Josh Luber said at a conference. I don't care what he said on a podcast. You are the CEO. If you want to let him run your business, just dust up your resume and go apply. Let him be your freaking boss. Seriously. He is not your CEO. He does not run your group breaking business. He doesn't pay your bills. Right now, Panini and Topps pay your bills, and they are going away. Not only that, we're seeing that Topps is just raising the price across the board. If you're familiar with Topps allocations, it used to be that you kind of put your order in. Now they're going to just tell you what you're going to get. And so trust me, magically, all of a sudden, these distributors are all of a sudden not going to have a lot of this Topps stuff, except 2 or 3 weeks later, they're going to have it at full retail. So they're going to allocate you a couple cases at most. And then a few weeks later, all of a sudden, they're going to have a couple more cases just at double the price at full retail. So that is likely to happen. Not only that, I would expect Topps to raise the price across the board. They've been doing it with the 582 Club. They've done it with some of their products. I think that as we get towards the back half of next year in 2022, you're going to see price increases across the board over at Panini and Topps. The era of extraordinary profits breaking is over. It's over. The day when you order up 5 cases of Prism, they get dropped at your door, and that's like $50,000 being dropped at your door. That era is over, period. I think it's over right now, let alone when Fanatics takes over. Yes, Fanatics is going to sell Breakers boxes. Yes, there'll be some cooperation there. No, they're not going to just dump off product to you 10 times less than what it's selling for retail. It'll go back to the days. A lot of you guys are new to this hobby. A lot of you guys don't remember what it was like being a dealer. I got my original wholesale license in 2001. Before a lot of you guys maybe even were even born, let alone running a business, called yourself a CEO or anything like that. So I was ordering cases of these products before a lot of you guys even had a twinkle in your eye. And the way it was for decades, unopened product was a low margin business. Even when group breaking started to take off right around 2010, 2011, the reason why it took off was selling boxes was a low margin business. You'd buy a box from your distributor for $79 and Blowout would have it listed on their website for $84. So there was no way to make money there, okay? And so breaking was a way to take a 5% margin on a product and bust it up to 20%. And take product that was sitting on the shelf, repackage it in a different way, distribute it basically in a different way through group breaks, and you could make a 20% margin. You can make not necessarily a comfortable living, but you could actually make some money. And then we started seeing the price started explode, especially over the last 4 or 5 years in this trading stuff. And look, guys started making extraordinary money. We're talking life-changing money in some cases, okay? And some of these guys have dozens of employees working for them. Those days are over. And if you're not preparing for that, or if you're not even entertaining the idea of that, you're not a CEO. A real CEO would say, hey, here are the 3 different scenarios that could happen over the next few years. Number 1, status quo remains the same. Okay, your business remains the same. Fanatics takes over, they dump product off of you, and you're able to mark it up 30, 40, 50 times, and you're able to make a bunch of money. Okay, I could go into any kindergarten class across this country and explain to the kindergartens, hey guys, my business over the last 5 years has done this, and this. What do you think's gonna happen over the next 5 years? What are the kindergartens gonna say? They're gonna say, one, I don't know. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Or maybe a semi-smart kindergartner will say, well, I think your business is probably going to do about the same. And that's how a lot of you guys are analyzing your business, like a kindergartner. Okay, a real CEO would sit back and say, hey, wait a second. Topps and Panini just got taught a lesson by Michael Rubin over at Fanatics that we weren't charging enough, okay, because we didn't have enough money in our pockets to dust the leagues up and get these licenses renewed. Another guy came in there, threw a bunch of money around that we really should have had, that Topps and Panini really should have had this money and have been able to lock in this license if they had been charging you guys the fair market value for this product. Yes, sure, letting you make a little bit of profit on it, but some of you guys were making like 100%, 200%, 300% profits on this stuff. That doesn't happen. Find me a business where that happens, okay? Rolex doesn't let their authorized dealers make 200% selling watches, okay? Yeah, you make 20%, 30%. And so that's where I would reset. That's option 2 is, hey, Fanatics comes in, they still throw us a bone. We're able to make 20 or 30% margins. We'll now start running your numbers. How much in sales do you got to make in order to maintain your lifestyle, maintain your employees' lifestyle on a 20 or 30% margin across the board? Maybe even as low as 10 or 15%. Do the numbers across a wide range of spectrum and see where you land, okay? And then the third option is it totally gets blown up. It's almost impossible to break for a profit. Fanatics controls this on their own YouTube channel, on their own channels, and basically you're just a glorified employee making $7, $8, $9 an hour breaking product. And it goes back to how it was back 10, 15 years ago when breaking kind of started. Those are the 3 scenarios that I see happening. I don't see it happening in the first scenario where things just stay status quo, everything stays the same. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. It's going to be one of the other 2 scenarios. Your margins are going to get trimmed by quite a bit, or it's completely going to get blown up and you're going to have to make a complete pivot out of your business, or you're going to be like the dozens, probably hundreds of former shop owners, former people that used to make money in this hobby that didn't evolve. Or you're just going to have to go work for one of these companies. You're going to have to dust out your resume, dust it off, go send it to Michael Rubin, hope you get hired, go send it to, if Panini and Topps and any of these stupid ass companies remain the same, well, maybe you could go work for them. So I was actually out here on the golf course. This was about a month ago, and I was playing. It's actually my wife used to work for an optometrist's office, and one of the doctors there, her husband, I got to know him a little bit just through office parties and stuff like that. And more recently, I've been out here at the club that he belongs to, and we grouped up together to play golf. And it was cool because it was the first time I really got to talk to him. And, I was talking to him about his business. He's a farmer, and he's telling me all this stuff. I literally had no idea about the farming business. Really fascinating conversation. Then the conversation started to turn towards what do I do? What business do I run? And I started to describe basically the 3 different businesses that I run. I have a website that does tremendously well. I'll put a photo up here. I'm actually in the process of selling this website, so I can't talk too much about it. But I've been working with FE International. And last year, I was going to list the website for about $180,000, I think was the asking price. And it looked like we were probably going to sell it. But towards the end of the process, or right before we started having to make a decision if we were going to close on a deal or not, they suggested I wait, make a couple of changes. And I tell you what, now it looks like we might list that website a year later for more than double. So I might be listing this site for $300,000, maybe even $400,000 in the next, I would say next 60 to 90 days, okay? So FE International, here's me. I'll post a photo of me at a conference where I met with them, and this is where we kind of went over a strategy that we talked about, and we've been executing on this, and boy, these guys are gonna put more than 6 figures in my pocket, it looks like, if all goes well. If not, I've got a good website business, okay? It's not sports car radio, it's a different niche, it's a different, completely different website, completely different thing. But I learned a lot of the skills, quite frankly, through running sports car radio and running that website. My other business, I got another YouTube channel. Believe it or not, Sports Card Radio YouTube is not that great financially, okay? Got a couple thousand subscribers. I don't know what it makes. It all goes to my brother. I pretty much am doing this for free. But I've got another YouTube channel called the Investor Channel. We just crossed 100,000 subscribers. Over the last 30 days, I probably made $5,000 or $6,000 on that. So that's actually a pretty good business. And then I've got a third business, which I've talked about here on the channel. I think I've even showed. I've got an Amazon business where originally I was doing it a lot for supplies, but then supplies started drying up, as you guys know, and you've seen the price of supplies. Hey, it's been great if you've had supplies in stock. It's been great if you've been able to maintain a level of stock, because you've really raised your prices across the board in the supply business. But look, it was tough to get that product. I pivot to board games, pivot to other toys, and I've done well. I'll put my stats right here. I'm pretty much where I was last year. I would say 80, 90,000 off the top of my head. We're not all the way through December. In fact, we haven't even gotten to December. That tends to be a pretty good month for Amazon, late minute buying of gifts and stuff, because they have a pretty quick delivery promise. You tend to run a lot of sales out on Amazon in the month of December. So all things being considered, though, that business has been basically flat, and the profits are basically pretty much flat as well. Off 80 or 90,000, I'll probably net out $20,000 to $30,000. And look, as a father of 2, my wife doesn't work. I've got a house, I've got a mortgage, I got a country club membership, I've got a Mercedes, I've got a Tesla. You guys seen my watches. $30,000 simply isn't going to cut it, but it is nice, okay? It does pay for the mortgage and maybe a car. But it was really interesting. I was having a conversation with this guy, and he says, man, it sounds like you're doing a lot. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I was like, I always feel like I can do more. But he was like, he kind of phrased it a little bit differently. He was like, well, what business can you be a millionaire? Like, what's going to make you a millionaire? And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, the website. I'm going to pocket 6 figures, possibly on an exit. If not, I can continue to build that website up. I probably could build it up to $1 million valuation and exit the business for $1 million, maybe pre-tax, pre-commission and all that. But I could easily do that. Okay. You need to get to about $200,000 to $300,000 in revenue, and you're going to get about about 300,000 profit on a website, okay? So for me, I run at about 100% margin on my websites. So for every dollar that goes out, a dollar comes in. So I need to have revenue in order to get $300,000 in profit. I need to have about $600,000 in revenue. And so, yeah, I could see that. I could actually see growing that website to where it clears 50 to 60,000 a month, and I'm profiting about $30,000 a month. You get about 3 times profit when you sell a website. And so if you're making 300,000 on a website, you're going to get about 3 times that. And that'll be about 900,000 to $1 million in terms of profit. So I could see it making $1 million off that. I could see making $1 million off YouTube. Okay, I don't put a lot of time into my channel. I don't do a lot of production work. I don't have any employees. I don't have anybody editing the videos, nobody doing my thumbnails. I do it all myself, and I'm still clearing $60,000 to $70,000 a year on that. But I know there's other people in my space, meet Kevin, Graham Stefan, many other ones that are doing way better than that are doing north of $1 million in terms of revenue off their YouTube business. I could certainly I get dozens of sponsorship opportunities every week. I'm number 2 in terms of referrals to Robinhood right now. So I am making a lot of money off some of this other stuff, but these guys really take every opportunity and really, kind of pump the sponsorships down the viewers' throats and things like that. I certainly could do that. And then I thought about it. It's like, I ain't never going to make $1 million selling on Amazon. I ain't never going to make $1 million. The best I'm going to do is 90,000, 100,000, unless I really scale it up, get a warehouse, get employees, and do all that stuff. And I don't want to do that out here in the state of California. It's a nightmare, payroll taxes and all this stuff. And so sometimes in business, you got to know when to fold them. And I hear it all the time. There'll probably be a little, the little trolls here on the channel. Oh, you're quitting, you're giving up, you failed and this and that. And it's like, no. Don't feel like if you've given up on a business, that's only going to make you a thousandaire. Like, it's okay to give up on that business. It's actually okay to give that up. And yeah, the Amazon business is good and it's treated me well and it's been profitable pretty much since day one. It's not as profitable as a website. I mean, and think about it too. Like, what are the most valuable companies out there? Okay. Websites, Google, Facebook. I mean, these are websites that are worth billions, hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars, okay? And so I like that space, and obviously YouTube kind of ties into that as well with advertising, and I just like YouTube. It's a little more creative. Amazon's a little bit more monotonous, and so don't be scared to give up on a business. Don't be scared if you're group breaking right now and you're kind of one of these lower tier breakers, and it could go either way for you. Well, now's the time to pivot. Now's the time to find that business that you can make $1 million on, okay? My brother takes all the income from sportscardradio.com, and look, it's thousands of dollars, okay? It's not pocket change, okay? And I don't think he puts a lot of time into the website. So you can put your time into the sports card business. It doesn't have to be selling product. It doesn't have to be hawking this stuff and buying it and selling it and constantly being on that rat race. That was the other thing I didn't like about the Amazon business. I was constantly having to outflow just $20,000, $30,000 just to keep my inventory at levels to maintain my sales, okay? Just so I can maintain a little bit of profit. So I didn't like that business. I much prefer kind of content and making money off of that in perpetuity, okay? I have YouTube videos that I haven't touched, okay? They took me 15 minutes to record and upload, and I'm still making money off that, okay? And I love that business. And if you looked at my business that I'm trying to sell, I did all that work years ago. We're talking 5, 6, 7 years ago. I worked on that website. I've barely touched it since then. And we're talking about a business that kicks off 6 figures every single year. Okay, and so I love that type of business. Takes way less work, gives you way more time to golf. That's why you see us chilling a lot of times over here at Sports Card Radio. We make a lot of that passive income. I wouldn't categorize group breaking as passive, not at all. I wouldn't even categorize Amazon, even if you're using FBA as passive. You gotta focus on that passive income. That's what's really gonna turn your life around. That's really gonna give you that Rolex kind of bling bling lifestyle that I think all of us, at least to a certain degree, really want. So quick update. I know on the last one I did of these, I said, hey, we're going to have an interview guest on Sports Card Radio, likely after Thanksgiving. We've had to postpone it a little bit. It is business related, really more related to his business. I don't want to spoil anything. I probably have information that is not meant to be public. And so I'm going to wait for him. And hopefully we meet up maybe in Q1, maybe even Q2 of next year. It's definitely going to happen. I'm super excited about it, but I did want to give you an update that don't expect that interview anytime soon. More than likely sometime early next year we'll have that. And quite frankly, maybe I'll try to jump on a podcast and do kind of a closeout of this year. We've had a lot of news, a lot of things happened in the hobby this year, and so it certainly would be good to get on a podcast. But look, I'm not going to guarantee anything. I got 2 kids. I got a lot of things I'm doing. We are at the holiday season. I'm not going to make any promises that I can't necessarily keep. And quite frankly, I've got some really, really exciting stuff happening in my other businesses, which I kind of described to you, but I'm starting to now cut things off, okay? Instead of add, okay? And I think this is like This is like the evolution of a lot of you guys call yourselves CEOs and owners. I've never really thought about myself that way. I'm a father, I'm a dad, I'm just trying to make money, okay? And I think the evolution of that is I've started to discover, instead of put a lot of the advice out there and a lot of the idea of a CEO is you've got to add stuff to your plate. You got to take on more. You got to do more. I've actually decided this next year, especially, I'm going to eliminate almost everything, okay? I'm going to try to sell my website, make a couple $100,000 for that, put that in the bank. I'm going to add an addition onto my house. I'm going to really take care of my house, really take care of my space that I spend a lot of time at. My wife's not going to work. We're just going to hang out with the family. It's the last year before my first and oldest son goes into grade school. So it's the first year before, really the last year where we're all together before they're in school, like 8 to 5 every single day or 8 to 3 every single day. And so I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to get rid of my website. Hopefully I can sell it. And then I'm going to get rid of my Amazon business. I still got 6 months of inventory or so. So it's going to take me a little while to wind that all down, but we're going to get through that, get rid of that, get rid of the little office space that I was renting, and just focus likely on YouTube content in the finance space. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. And so for some of you, maybe you're at that space too, where you have all this stuff going on. You've got all this responsibility. Well, maybe clear some of it off your plate. And maybe if you just focused on the one thing that you really like, maybe you can really, really turn it into something significant. That's what I'm hoping for in the upcoming year. Back from playing golf. Beautiful day out here. Just a gorgeous day for golf. And the last thing I wanted to do was talk about how I'm still seeing a lot of comments from people out there saying, hey, not all cards have gone down. Not all the cards have gone down. That reminds me when, let's just say I live in a middle-class house, okay? This house is probably worth, I don't know, 400,000 or 500,000. I really don't know. But look, okay, imagine all of us that live in houses like this, all of a sudden the value gets cut in half. Value just gets cut in half for whatever reason. Who cares? Okay, right? Okay, it's happened before, okay, in our lifetimes, right? Okay, it happens, okay? But then we point over to Bel Air, and over to the Hamptons, and over there in Monterey. There's a $10 million house over there that didn't go down in value. Oh, there's a Bel Air house that used to sell for 10 and now it's selling for 12. Oh, over in the Hamptons, they just broke a record. None of you guys live there. I don't live there. I don't have that house. That's not your house. Everybody's middle-class cards got cut in half over the last year, period, okay? And none of these gurus out here on YouTube, what were they telling you? Oh, guys, don't worry, the playoffs are going to start. The playoffs! We're talking about the playoffs. We're going to start. No, that didn't help, okay? The Olympics games, the gold medal, no, that wasn't going to help. Sports being back on TV, that was going to help. No, none of that helped, okay? It's simply a supply and demand. You go on PSA websites, you still see they're about a year behind in bulk subs. That's everybody's middle-class cards, okay? Middle class cards, we're still a year away from just PSA, now let alone Beckett. Who knows where they are clearing their backlog, that piece of crap company. But look, PSA is still like a year away from clearing out the middle class backlog of cards. So is the middle class of cards, which is every card that you have, let's be honest with you guys, okay? You don't live in Bel Air. Your cards are not Bel Air. Your cards are not the Hamptons. Your cards is not Carmel and Monterey and Pebble Beach. Period. It's not. You guys have middle class cards and they've all gone down in value. I don't care if it's Ken Griffey Jr. I don't care if it's Michael Jordan. I don't care if it's Kobe. I don't care if it's Luka. I don't care if it's modern, if it's semi-modern, or if it's not. It's all gone down in value. And it's not going to come back. It's not going to come back because of the playoffs. It's not going to come back because some guru pumps it up. It's not going to come back because they're a, quote, generational talent and their teams never won a playoff game, okay? So no, none of that is going to help. The playoffs aren't going to help. None of that is going to help. What you really, really should do is start resetting and saying, hey, I took a loss. I'm underwater on quite a few cards. Now I'm going to take the next steps. What am I going to do in order to either maintain your collection, or in some of your cases, in terms of business, how are you going to start to reset things and restart things? Stimulus checks are not coming back. Generous unemployment is not coming back. None of that is coming back, okay? Not this year, and certainly not next year after next year's elections, okay? If you have any clue of what's going to go on this time next year, nothing is going to get done from a stimulus check perspective or a government aid perspective. It's simply not going to happen. We're seeing rising costs from gas. We're seeing rising costs across the board when you go to grocery and those types of things. I don't think that's necessarily going to get better anytime soon. And so people in the middle class of the hobby that are buying those middle class of cards, they're not going to have any more money. In fact, they're going to have less money than they did last year. These cards are not going to go up in value, but you can probably, I would say probably, find some opportunities to kind of buy the dip and buy some of these cards at prices that certainly are far more attainable than they were in the past. I would certainly not expect these cards to go back up anytime soon. And stop pointing to the one golden auction that breaks a record that they tweet about and you retweet, and that's like the only tweet you saw from that entire auction. You don't know that maybe the rest of the cards in that auction sold for way under what people were expecting and way under comps. But yeah, one card in the Hamptons, one card over in Bel Air where you don't live, you don't go, you don't hang out because you don't have that kind of money. Yeah, maybe those cards are held up in value. Maybe there's still some demand there, okay? Because trust me, the millionaire 2 years ago that could afford a really expensive baseball card, well, tell you what, over the last 2 years, he's doing really good. He's not looking at the price of gas. He doesn't care, okay? He's doing good. He could afford $1 million card 2 years ago. He can still afford $1 million card today. But all of your cards go to the middle class. You're selling to the middle class of the hobby. All of them have less money. All of them are paying more in gas, more in grocery, more in everything. And they're not going to have any more money. They're not getting any stimulus checks. They're not going to get a generous unemployment. They're not going to get a PPP loan. It's over. It's over.